Now, the trial of 5 men accused of the murder of former Bafana and Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa is expected to resume in the High Court in Pretoria this morning. The trial was postponed last Wednesday when Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5 demanded an explanation from the NPA about why it decided to charge, her client and 4 others, and seemingly ignored other dockets which implicates singer Kelly Khumalo and others. Stay tuned. In just a short while, we'll be crossing over to CHRISELDA LEWIS, who is at the court. As both of us have been alluding to, that trial of 5 men accused of the murder of former Bafana and Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa expected to resume in the High Court in Pretoria this morning. Let's cross over to our senior reporter CHRISELDA LEWIS for more on this. So, CHRISELDA, we saw it breaking from last week Wednesday until today. That was obviously on the request of the defence for accused number 5 from Mshololo to find out, what's going on with this other docket that has come to light. So perhaps just recap for us and tell us what we can expect for today. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Leanne. Let's start here. What we could possibly be looking at here this morning is a possible postponement of this particular trial to possibly round about September. The last time we were inside this court, there had been, the month of September that had been thrown around quite slightly. You'd recall, of course, indeed, as you correctly point out in your headline there, Advocate Zandile Mshololo called for a postponement of these proceedings the last time, wanting to peruse a docket, a document which she says she only received that morning inside this court. Now, this docket refers to case 375. This is a parallel, it seems, investigation that had been conducted into the death of Senzo Meyiwa. What we do know at this particular stage is that the Director of Public Prosecutions, the South Gauteng Division, had basically on this docket 375, which is the second docket, which is the current bone of contention. In that particular docket, Kelly Khumalo, her sister Zandile Khumalo, her mom, and other individuals that were inside the house when Senzo Meyiwa was killed, are cited as suspects in that particular docket. So Advocate Zandile Mshololo, what she had indicated inside court the last time was that she wanted to understand why it was that the NPA had decided to bring this particular docket. There are 2 dockets now, remember, Leanne, in this particular matter. Why choose the one docket over the other? The one that cites Kelly Khumalo and others as suspects has not yet been brought before court, even though we do understand that a decision had been made by the Director of Public Prosecutions, saying that Kelly Khumalo and those that were inside the house should be charged. And Zandile Mshololo, Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5, wants to understand, she indicated inside this court, she wants the NPA to give her proper reasons why it decided to bring this particular matter to court, which involves her client, and why did they seemingly overlook the other docket as well. So she was basically saying she wanted to peruse that docket. She only received it the last time we were inside this court, and she felt that her client was being prejudiced in this instance, in that we heard from the State Prosecutor, Advocate George Baloy. He indicated that sometime in March, I think it was the 23rd, that he had written to the concerned parties asking for this document. He had not received it. He also told this court that he'd received the docket the last time we were inside this court. So Advocate Zandile Mshololo really pointing to, asking questions, in fact, about why the National Prosecuting Authority decided to go on this particular matter and not the other. We're expecting some feedback on that this morning. In the run-up to today, Leanne, we've spoken to quite a number of people, including the former National Director of Public Prosecutions, Vusi Pikoli. And when I spoke to him, he did indicate, to say the National Prosecuting Authority needs to give an explanation, number one, about why these documents were not given to the concerned parties on time. He didn't categorically say if there was anything to hide, but he does feel that the National Prosecuting Authority, for its own integrity, should respond to Advocate Zandile Mshololo to establish or to give us satisfactory answers about why that one docket seemingly was chosen over the other. Also indicating, while it was an issue that may have been ventilated inside this court before, the presiding judge also saying that, there was nothing untoward about this particular trial sitting here, given that the crime scene was in Vosloorus, so the expectation generally would be, Leanne, is that a case of this nature, if the crime scene is in a place like Vosloorus, you'll have this trial heard at the South Gauteng High Court and not here at the North Gauteng High Court. Previously, the presiding judge had said there's nothing untoward about that. We have seen previous instances like this, but Vusi Pikoli also believes that that's one of the aspects that needs to be ventilated in this particular matter. Advocate Kherinel from AfriForum, speaking to him as well in the run-up to today's proceedings, him also indicating that, yes, the National Prosecuting Authority needs to, explain why some of these documents were never received on time. It seems like legal representation in this particular matter is concerned that their clients have been prejudiced as a result of the late handing over of these documents. So whether Advocate Zandile Mshololo has already received a response from the National Prosecuting Authority, will officially get that on the record here this morning, but a likely postponement in this matter, Leanne. Just before I wrap up, we also heard just shortly before the adjournment of proceedings last time, the issue of the cell phone, which was allegedly stolen inside the house. That's also coming into question. You recall one of the statements that were being here inside court from Gladness Khumalo, who is Kelly Khumalo's mother, in which she indicated that a cell phone had been stolen. Prior to the adjournment, Advocate Zandile Mshololo also asking Thabo Mosia, who were expecting not to be inside court today. We heard at the last adjournment that he was not going to be called here. Today is basically to map a way forward, I understand, about where do we go next in terms of this particular trial, pending, of course, the responses that Advocate Zandile Mshololo is asking from the National Prosecuting Authority. But a lot of focus also, when we sat the last time, was on the cell phone. In that statement, Gladness Khumalo indicating that a cell phone had been stolen. So Advocate Zandile Mshololo asking forensic detective Thabo Mosia whether he had traced the cell phone. The expectation, I guess, would have been is that if you indicate that a cell phone has been stolen and you're doing an investigation into a robbery and a murder that has taken place at a particular crime scene, one of the aspects that they would need to do was to track the cell phone to see perhaps where it is. Mosia indicating in this court that he did not do that and subsequently did not even speak to some of those that were in the house on the night that Senzo Meyiwa was killed about exactly which contents had been taken in the so-called robbery that had taken place. So likely postponement, Leanne. Let's see how things unfold at 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, all right, interesting. Another one of those days expected there in the courtroom, but we'll wait to find out when that starts. But of course, we've got CHRISELDA on the job. She'll keep you updated on what happens there today. Let's take a break here on the program.